Welcome, dear soul. Namaste. So, today's practice will be a nice morning practice. Of course, you can practice this session whenever you want, in the evening, the afternoon, in the middle of the night, but it's gonna help you to get moving and wake your body up. Or if you're doing it during the evening, to loosen up after a long day, perhaps. So you might want to use some blocks, at least one block we are going to use now that I think of it. If you don't have a block, as always, you can use a couple of books. It doesn't even have to be this high. We're going to use it this way to lay on top of at the very end of our session. So something firm, like a book, could be just an inch, a couple of centimeters or so. And then if you're tend to use belts for leg stretches, you might want to grab your belt, scarf, whatever you're using. But of course, we don't have to. Now, we are gonna start right away laying down on our backs. So get comfortable here. Maybe slide your shoulder blades down the back. Turn the palms of your hands up towards the sky. And then let's take a deep breath in through the nose. And then exhale slowly. Relax your whole body here. Closing your eyes. And begin to just notice how you feel right now. So if you are practicing during the morning, perhaps you're still waking up, still having that calm that we wake up with some days. Is your body heavy or light? Is there a sense of heaviness? And then we're gonna shift our awareness to the breath. And simply begin to notice where in the body you feel the breath the most vivid. There is no right or wrong way or place. See if you can soften your body a bit further with each exhale. Letting go of the expression in your face. Releasing your jaw. Letting your shoulders drop and your chest or belly expand as much as they want to with each inhale. And if you want, you can begin to move your toes and fingers. And from here, we're now going to bring our knees to the chest. You can blink your eyes open whenever you feel ready to do so. If you prefer to just follow along, listening to my voice, that's perfectly fine. Now place one hand on each knee, and we're going to begin to lengthen the arms, bringing the legs further away from us, and then bringing them back towards the chest. Kind of cradling the legs back and forth. Try to relax your legs, your glutes, letting the arms do the work. Notice how your low back feels today. You can either continue this way or maybe make some gentle circles over the sacred bone, releasing some of the fascia in that area. Sometimes we store a lot of tension there. And if you're doing the circles, perhaps change the direction of the circles now. Keep your breath fluid, breathing through the nose, following the movement, or letting the movement follow the breath is what I meant. Now bringing the knees back towards the chest, and then distance them slightly so they point more towards the shoulders. And perhaps you choose to stay here, depending on how your hips feel. Maybe this is enough. Or we can bring the arms to the inside of your knees, grab either your ankles, your toes, or the outer edge of your feet, and then lift your feet up above your knees into Ananda Balasana, or happy baby pose. So we are trying to bring the knees down towards the floor, at the same time keeping the tailbone onto the floor. Try to keep your shoulders down, drawing them down along the back. Now, depending on the flexibility in your body today, you can either stay here, you can also gently rock your body from side to side, or you can begin to lengthen one leg, bend it again, and then lengthen the other leg and bend it. And I'm beginning to wake the legs up. And it doesn't matter if you manage to lengthen the legs completely or not. And then slowly we're gonna bend the legs all the way again. Bring the hands back to the knees. Help your knees connect. And you can maybe give yourself a big hug. Exhale, lower your feet to the ground. Try to keep your feet hip distance apart. Now, if you have a block, this is completely optional. It's good though for any beginner to the practice to find our alignment. We want to place the block between the thighs, so not between the knees, a little bit higher up towards the pelvic floor, towards the pelvis, and then bring the arms along the body, shoulder blades beneath you. Press your palms down and the feet as you then lift your hips up. So anyone with a spinal fusion here, instead of searching for that arch in your back, you can search for a more linear position here. So we always avoid turning our head in this position, but we can kind of just gaze forward and see if we can see like a straight line from the chest or collarbones to the knees. And then with your next exhale, lower your back gently down. Maybe you even roll down vertebrae per vertebrae. If you're fused, maybe you only roll the very last part or whatever part you're not fused. And we're now going to begin to lift and lower a few times. So with the inhale, lift your hips again. Exhale, lower, perhaps rolling down gently. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, rolling down. A couple of more times like this. Exhale, lower all the way. And then from here, you can remove the block. And we're gonna make our way up to a tabletop position. So either roll up or you can turn to the side so you keep more of a neutral spine. And from here, finding your tabletop. Instead of doing cats and cows here, we're gonna make some big circles with the body. Make sure you spread your fingers wide. Press your fingertips and the knuckles of your fingers down too. Shifting weight away from the wrists. Maybe adding in a little bit of shoulder motion, back motion, almost like cats and cows sideways. And this gives anyone with a spinal fusion a little bit more ease to move in a way that fits your body. There are no specific patterns to follow here. Now we're gonna change the direction of the circles we're making. If your wrists are sore for some reason, you can always keep the weight a bit further back. Otherwise, this can also be a good way to prepare your wrists to bear some weight, although we're not gonna be too much on our hands today. Okay, making our last circle here. And then slowly finding our center and a neutral spine. Let's now come down onto our forearms from here. You want to engage your front core, so this is me not engaging. As I draw my navel in, you can see my low back lifts a little bit. Really ground the shin of your right shin and begin to make some big circles with the left leg. You're trying to keep the rest of the body still. Spread your left toes as you do this. Lift your leg as high as you can. And try to keep your shoulders engaged so you're pushing the mat gently away from you, as well as keeping your gaze slightly forward, more or less in between your hands. Now we change the direction of these circles. Notice how it feels to make these circles. What part of your body is engaging, especially on the left side. You feel the leg is working, the glute is working. Is your waist working? Take a mental note, so perhaps we can, just for fun, compare to the other side when we do it on the other side later on. After you finish your next circle, lengthen the left leg back. Keep your core engaged. Remember that navel drawing in and up. Imagine you're pushing a wall away from you with the foot. Feel free to stay here or shift the weight onto the left arm and then begin to lengthen the right arm forward. You can keep your hand on the floor or lift the hand off the floor, trying to keep the shoulder, the right shoulder, relaxed. It's almost like you're trying to shake someone's hands in front of you here. Maybe keeping that elbow slightly bent. And then with your next exhale, lower the right forearm again. You can lower the left toes to the ground. Then just spin the right leg out to the right, to the side a little bit. Turn the left heel to the right and come up onto the left hand. We're gonna then reach our left arm up. And again, lifting the left foot off the floor. Depending on how much balance you have in this moment, you can either just look straight out to the left or maybe turn your gaze up towards the hand. This is not always accessible for everyone with spinal fusions, so anything that's comfortable. You don't want to strain your neck. And on this side, if you have a left lumbar, try to really keep this hip up so you're keeping the right side of your waist open. Now looking down, gently come down with the hand and the knee, and from here we're gonna come up onto our hands. Now cross the left leg behind the right. Spin your feet out to the side and grab that block, those books, or even a pillow in this case. We're gonna sit back into Gomukhasana with our legs. So basically sitting in between our heels. And the block is only in case it's hard to be directly on the floor or if your knees hurt. So you don't have to use it. Take a moment here, breathe. For some people, this pose can be quite intense. For others, it's not at all so intense. Personally, this was very hard for me for a few years when I started out. Then with your next inhale, reach your arms forward and up, lengthen your spine, and then rest your left palm, left hand at the center of your back. The right hand will then bring the elbow back. We don't have to push a lot. Just waking up the tricep. Try to let your head free. Free to be in a neutral position. Breathe. Then with your next exhale, gently lower your arms and bring your right arm behind your back. The right hand will then grab around the left arm, pulling it back a little bit and down, and then lean your head towards the right shoulder. Feel free to move your head a little bit here, finding any tighter spots in the left side of the neck. I like to then roll my head forward before lifting it back up to center. Let go of the arm with your hand, and we're gonna come up onto our knees again. Perhaps use the strength of your arms to lift your hips up and bring your hands beneath your shoulders. Keep your legs crossed like this. We're gonna now make some cats and cows. So inhale, look up, open your chest, and then exhale, maybe rounding the spine, push the mat away. And I say maybe because anyone with spinal fusion might find it hard to round and arch, but it's more like a shoulder movement in this case. So imagine that you're moving in your shoulders. And then back to a more neutral position with your spine. Bring the left leg back to its own side of the right leg. Tuck your toes. We're going to enter our first downward facing dog, lifting your knees off the floor. Keep your legs bent as you lengthen your back, and then from here, maybe lengthening the legs a little bit. Perhaps lengthening or walking your dog here. Pedaling out your feet. Notice how it feels behind your legs. And we come back to center. With your next inhale, lift your heels as high up as you can. Look forward and exhale. We're gonna enter that pose. So we lower our knees, but not all the way. We keep them an inch or so off the floor. So core engaged, shoulders engaged. And then exhale, lower the knees down. You can either walk your knees slightly back or your hands forward. So In a plank pose on our knees, exhale, chaturanga all the way down to the floor, bending your elbows back. Top of the feet down, pressing down slightly. And we're now gonna just lift our head and chest for a baby cobra. And try to lift your hands off the floor too. Exhale, lower. And then inhale, lift again. 2 more times. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Last time we lower. Inhale, lift. And then exhale, lower your forehead down. Place your hands further back and then use the strength of your arms to move back to child's pose. Now from here, come back up to tabletop. Ground your left palm down. We're gonna then inhale, lift the right elbow. Maybe you lengthen your arms all the way up. But being here is completely fine, especially if it feels funky in your shoulder. Then with your next exhale, you want to slide the right arm to the left, right behind the left hand. So avoid shifting your hips back. Bend your left arm so you can then place the right side of your head down, keeping the ear away from the floor. Both arms are gently pressing down to the floor. Trying to keep your hips squared. And then using that left arm again to press yourself up. With your inhale, once again lift the right arm, making some circle perhaps with the arm. Rolling the shoulder back. And then exhale, release the hand down to the ground. From here, we move all the way down to our forearms again. Engage your core, ground the left leg, and begin to make those circles with the right leg. Again, we try to stabilize the rest of the body, making the circles big and high, and feeling what gets activated on this side. So with scoliosis, even if your spinal is fused, there might be some big differences on the two sides, what you're activating. Maybe on this side, you're using more of the waist, and on the other side, it was more the leg, or vice versa. Now change the direction. One last circle, and then from here, lengthen the leg back. Maybe keeping the toes down like you did before. You can also try to keep the leg lifted the whole time. Spin the left leg out to the side. Bring the right arm or hand beneath your shoulder and begin to then open up to the right. Reaching the right arm up over your shoulder. And trying to keep the waist even. If you got scoliosis, spinal fusion. So it's usually a left lumbar for someone with an S curve. So this would be the concave side, the closed side. So we want to really open that up, but then make sure that the leg doesn't fall all the way down. So you can use your hand to keep the waist open as you bring the leg to the desired height. And then you reach your arm up again. And then exhale, look down, bring the right hand down to the floor. Bring the knee down and come up onto your hands. I'm gonna cross the right leg behind the left, thinning the legs out so the feet are out to the sides. Again, maybe grab your block, boots, pillow. You might need something more or can use something less on this side. Making sure your knees doesn't hurt. Beginning by just taking a few breaths and feeling the sensations, especially if there is a lot of tightness. Staying with those uncomfortable sensations. And then inhale, reach your arms forward and up, lengthen your spine at the same time. And then rest the right hand to the center of your back, left hand on the right elbow, bringing the arm back slightly. Making sure you can keep your head in a neutral position and you're not pushing the head forward here. And then exhale, release your arms all the way down. You're gonna bring the left arm behind the back. Left hand will then grab the right arm, pulling it slightly back and down, and leaning the head towards the left shoulder. Again, you can move your head a bit. You can either keep moving to just awaken the whole right side of your neck, or if there is a tighter spot, feel free to then keep your head in that position and breathe. Perhaps you roll your head forward before then lifting it back up to center. Release the grip around the right arm. Maybe rolling the shoulders a couple of times. And then relax your shoulders down. Use the strength of your arms to lift your hips up and come back to a modified tabletop. Hands beneath your shoulders, legs face crossed. And again, we're gonna make those very gentle cats and cows. Inhale, you open up, and exhale, you round, or push the mat away with your shoulders at least. Inhale, open your heart. Exhale, press it away. One more time. Inhale, expand. Exhale, press away. And then come back to a neutral position. And bring the right leg back to its side of the left. tucking your toes, maybe walking the hands slightly forward for downward facing dog. So you lift your knees, again starting with your legs bent, prioritizing the length in your back. See whether you want to pedal out the feet this time too, or maybe finding more stillness this time around. And then inhale, lift your heels as high up as you can. Exhale, back pose. Lowering the knees, but not all the way, keeping them slightly hovering over the floor. Shoulders strong, core engaged. And then exhale, release down. You can also release the top of your feet down. Keep your right hand grounded onto the floor, and inhale, we're gonna lift either just the left elbow or reaching the whole arm up. And then exhale, we're gonna slide the left arm to the right, just beneath, not beneath, behind the right hand. Left side of the head down. Trying to keep your hips squared, so you might want to shift your hips a little bit to the left. Both arms are pressing down. This can be really nice if there's any tightness around the back of your shoulders, around the shoulder blades. And then use the strength of the right arm to press yourself back up. Right away, you want to lift the left arm, perhaps making some circles, rolling the shoulder back. One more circle. And exhale, release down. Now we're going to bring the legs in front of us. So maybe just crossing the ankles and sit back, or in your own way, is completely fine. This is the time you might want to use your belt. So I'm going to give you a different option to enter Paschimottanasana. If you are used to the practice and your legs are super, your hamstrings are super open, feel free to keep your legs lengthened, but you might want to try just another option. We're going to bend our legs to begin with, and maybe you even bend them even more than this. You can flex your feet. Inhale, reach your arms with the belt if you're using it up. Exhale, we're going to fold over the thighs, and then you can bring the belt around the ball of the feet. And then from here, we're going to see if maybe we can slide the feet slightly forward, and you stop whenever you begin to feel a tightness behind the legs. But what we want to keep aware of is the connection here between the belly and the thighs. And then see if you can release your head down. And how does that feel? Does it make the sensation more intense? And where in the body do you feel it? So we are lengthening the whole back line of the fascia. So some people might feel this in the calves. Some people feel it in the back. I personally tend to feel this in the neck. And if you're using the belt or holding your feet with your hands, avoid any pulling. The belt is only there to help you stay in the position you manage to enter with the strength of your body and the breath. Okay, one more breath. If you want to go slightly deeper, maybe taking one more deep breath, lengthening your spine and even lifting your gaze a little. And then exhale, release down for a moment. From here, walking your hands back, so just let go of your belt if you're holding on to it. Lengthen your spine as you get here. And then relax your feet. Maybe you can just move your legs a little or your feet. And from here, we're going to lay down onto our back. Just one more pose before we relax in Shavasana. You want to make sure you bring the block with you or the books. And keep your legs bent. And then grab the block. We're going to place it flat and wide underneath the tailbone. So press your feet down just enough to bring that block beneath you. Make sure you're feeling stable here. The back is slightly arched. Otherwise, if it's rounding, maybe the block is too far away from you, so too much towards the feet. And then begin to relax. You can even distance the feet a bit more so you can connect the knees and relax your legs. Really try to relax your low back, especially if there's tension at this moment in this position. Sometimes the back is trying to resist. So consciously tell your back to relax. And this pose doesn't seem like much, but it actually helps us to create that space between the lumbar vertebrae, especially for someone with spinal fusion, actually for anyone, but when you have spinal fusion, even if you only have like one free vertebrae at your lumbar, that free vertebrae is working so much more than they are supposed to, because the low back is carrying all the weight of the titanium in your back. It needs to be the flexible part, but at the same time stabilizing. So we're giving the low back a rest here, giving the discs an opportunity to absorb some of the fluid in the body. And you can return to a more natural breath. And now gently walk your feet hip width apart again, stacking your knees above the ankles to get to get off the block here. Instead of simply lifting our hips up, we're actually gonna round the back. So tuck your tailbone. This way we're not compressing the low back as we then press our feet down, removing the block and gently lower all the way down. Now take a moment here. Let your back settle. Sometimes it can be a bit uncomfortable in the beginning after that position. And whenever you're ready, lengthen your legs. Prop yourself up if you want to. Grab a blanket, anything to prepare your body for Shavasana. Turn the palms of your hands up towards the ceiling, unless they are resting on the body. And close your eyes. Feel your body. Let the bones become heavy. Then bring your mind to rest on your breathing. Whenever a thought rises, you can mentally label it as thinking or feeling. And then gently bring your mind back to the breath. Now begin to bring your mind back to the room you're in. You might notice sounds around you. Become aware of the floor beneath you. You can wiggle your toes, move your fingers, and in your own time, roll onto the right side of your body, taking a moment there. From here, slowly press yourself up to seated position. Try to keep your eyes closed. Find a cross-leg position or any seated, comfortable position. Take a moment to linger in this piece. And just a reminder that this place is always there inside of you. Gently bring your palms together in front of your heart. You might set an intention for your day here that you can repeat to yourself 3 times. From my heart to yours, thank you so much for practicing with me today. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you.